Hey everybody! Today's experiment, we are going to be doing a density experiment. We've got water and molasses and just vegetable oil, a nice clear container, and we've also got a chunk of cork that I cut off, just a regular wine cork, a piece of plastic from the top of the margarine container, and a grape tomato. So let's get started. Okay, so first we're gonna pour in the molasses. I'm just gonna sort of tilt the container so that I guess it doesn't really matter because it's the first thing going in. Slow as molasses in January, that's what my grandma used to say. Now molasses is a very high viscous liquid. Viscosity, which is how a liquid flows, is not actually exactly related to density. Something could be thicker flowing but less dense than something that has less viscosity or thinner flowing. So density is related to how far apart the molecules of a substance are, whereas viscosity is how thick a substance is. So they could be different. For instance, oil has a higher viscosity. It flows a little bit thicker than water, but it is less dense than water. So the next thing I'm going to put in there is some vegetable oil, and I'm going to turn that a little bit and just pour it on top. So far we can see that we've got the molasses and then the vegetable oil. And now I'm going to dump the water in, and I'm going to dump the water in carefully just so it doesn't mix too much with the molasses. And it's going to go underneath the oil. And the oil will go on top of the water. So there, now we have 3 nicely separated liquids. I put about a cup of each, I'd say. It depends on... Now, why do I have the tomato, the cork, and the piece of plastic? Because now we're going to see what happens when you drop a tomato in. Aha! And then I'm going to drop the cork in. And then I'm going to drop the piece of plastic in. Make sure that it's... So the surface tension of the oil was holding the plastic up. So I just kind of tapped it, and then it sunk down onto the... It's going to be on top of the surface of the water now. So the cork is floating on top of the oil, and the piece of plastic is floating on top of the surface of the water. I'm just going to use a chopstick and move the piece of plastic away from the tomato, just so we could make sure that the tomato wasn't holding the piece of plastic up. So the piece of plastic is sitting on top of the water, but underneath the oil. The tomato is sitting on top of the molasses, but is sunk down into the water, and the cork is on top. Very cool. So have fun with that one.